JustnoMIL strikes again on Halloween, long post. So it was little one's first Halloween and I invited my mom to come by to see her in her costume. Not wanting to leave Mil out, I told DH to invite her too during the same time my mom would be over. Mil magically becomes much less unpleasant when my own mom is around. Maybe she isn't as oblivious, innocent and unaware as DH claims she is. Anyway, so we ordered a couple pizzas, salad as it was lunchtime and figured the grandmas would eat some. So Mil walks in and immediately in the most obnoxious, loud voice starts making fun of us for getting too much pizza. She kept saying things like, "Well geez, think you guys got enough pizza?" And laughing obnoxiously we just ignored it and said, "Well help yourself if you like some." She grabbed little one and kept making loud noises at her and saying, hey look here." It may not sound bad but she was like shouting this and little one's super sensitive to noise and it just drove me insane but I didn't say anything. Fast forward, I put on little one's costume and bring out my professional camera to take photos of her. Mil immediately whipped out her phone and literally got in my way and started screaming at baby to get her attention and directing husband to turn etc. I calmly moved and said, "DH please turn towards me as I'd like to capture baby's first Halloween costume before she gets fussy." Mil stood in the corner scowling. I felt a deep confidence in myself for handling the situation well and not getting anxious and melding into the background like I usually do. Mil then started demanding for me and DH to pose with baby and I ignored her and started speaking to DH again and said, "Will you bring Lo in her room so I can take some photos in her crib too?" Once in her nursery I took my sweet time taking photos and vented to my husband about how obnoxious his mom was being. He said sorry and that she was embarrassing him. Anyhow we go back out and my Mil is standing around with phone in hand demanding, "I want photos of you too and baby." I handed baby to DH and walked towards the couch instead and said, "I'm going to look at the photos I just took." Mil got busy taking photos of DH and little one and my mom snuck over and whispered, "Please let her take some photos, I feel sorry for her." I groaned and sighed and my mom laughed. She gave me a hug and I went to stand for photos, but I didn't smile, lol. A few minutes later she picks up little one and plants a big sloppy kiss on her cheek. Little one hasn't been fully vaccinated and Mil is not the most trustworthy when it comes to hygiene or health. I pulled DH aside and told him what happened. He said he'd talk to her when he's alone with her as he thought it'd be awkward with my mom there too. He was angry too though and apologized again for his mom. Fast forward a while and suddenly little one starts crying out of nowhere. She never does that. I DK what Mil did but I immediately took little one and calmed her down and refused to give her back until later. When handed back to Mil literally as soon as she even made the quittest fussy sound I told husband loudly, "Please take little one, she seems uncomfortable." This is a huge deal for me as in the past I would have suffered in silence while watching Mil basically make my baby cry and then try to calm her and then finally handing her over once she failed at calming her. It was also very satisfying to hear my mom compliment me and DH to Mil when we were in the other room and hearing Mil say, "Aha," and fuming lol. My mom laid on the compliments pretty thick and I smiled a lot and said, "Aw thank you," while bitter Mil stared from the corner of the room. It was time to leave for them, finally. And as we stood by the door I asked Mil if she wanted to hug little one goodbye and she responded, "No I'm fine." I smiled and said, "Okay then. Say hi to John, her BF." Afterwards I made a nice Facebook post with the photos of grandmas holding little one and captioned it, "Little one enjoying her day with her loving grandmas." Mil loves ignoring me online so I purposely tagged her in all the photos smiley face. I think I've finally figured out how to cope, be happy and nice. It physically pains the woman haha.